Hello, it's Sonia here with The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today we are going to be making a project that could be used for a variety of things. It's going to be what I call either a hair fascinator or just a hair clip, or you could make this to put on something else like on a shirt or, you know, decorate an item of clothing, a hat, whatever. But I'm going to make it as a hair fascinator. So to do this, I am using my F hook or 3.75 millimeter hook, and I have two different yarns. Now with this project, you can customize it and use pretty much any hook size and yarn type that you have. So depending on the size hook and yarn that you use, you know, that will affect the size of your hair clip or hair fascinator, whatever you want to use it for. So I'm using my F hook, so as you can see it's a smaller hook. So the yarn that I've chosen is more of a finer yarn. I'd say more like a number 2, maybe in between a number 2 or number 3. So I'm going to use two different colors here. So this pink and like this mauve, like light pink and mauve, and I believe it's cotton, and it was Annie's something. I got it from a thrift store, and I don't, obviously the label's long gone. And so if you want to use it as a hair clip, I do recommend these guys. This is what I'm going to use. This is actually a pin curl clip, and I used to be a hairdresser. I have a whole box of these. They do make longer ones if you wanted to make a larger one. They do make longer clips. They're about this long. I can even post a picture and a link. And I believe they might be called finger waving clips, or they might have a different name. When I was in beauty school, which was a very, very long time ago, they were like finger waving clips. We called these pin curl clips. They might have a different name for them now, but I like these because they have a nice grip to them. Now, if you're worried about them hurting the hair, you can also glue on some fabric inside. But I like these too because of these prongs. You literally can just like jam it in the hair wherever you want. It's going to go in there and it's going to stay. Because I do have fine hair, and it is hard for me to find things to stay in my hair, and also my girls are the same way. So if you are a fine hair girly, these would be a really good choice to use to make your fascinator. So I think these would be nice for a prom, a wedding. I know prom season is right around the corner, and you could pick yarn to match your dress. And if you wanted to wear your hair up, this would be really cute. For a wedding would be really nice, or some other more formal event, or just to have a pretty flower. There's Easter coming, you know, they would be really cute for Easter as well. There's a lot of different occasions that you could wear this. So what we're going to do is, this is going to be worked in the round. Oh, and one more thing you're going to need is, I would recommend a stitch marker. You don't have to have it, but I think it would be really helpful. And please excuse, my hands are a hot mess. I've actually been working outside trying to get a jump on the yard work. While the weather is nice, it will not stay nice because we're only in March. All right, so we are going to be starting round 1. This entire project is worked in the round, and it's just basically you're going to go around and around. You're going to start in the middle of your flower and work your way out. And you can make this as big or as small as you would like. Add colors wherever you like. All right, so we have 2 chains here. You need to chain 2. In the second chain from our hook, we are going to work 5 single crochet. So this is round 1. So what you'll find with this project, it will be a little fiddly in the beginning, but as you go along, it gets easier. So trust the process. So let's begin round 2. So for round 2, we are going to be working in the front loops. I'm not joining, I'm just jumping right in. So that first stitch, I am going to work a single crochet. And this will be our first petal. So that's single crochet in the front loop. My next stitch is also going to be single crochet. Stitch 3, we're going to work 3 half double crochet, or 4 half double crochet, I'm sorry, not 3, 4 half double crochet in the front loop of the next stitch. So we have 4 half double crochet. Our next stitch is going to be single crochet in that front loop. And then our last stitch will be also single crochet in the front loop. And then I highly recommend you place a stitch marker so you can see we've created one little petal there. So I am going to grab my scrap of yarn. If you have actual stitch markers, please feel free to use them. I always lose them. So I just use scraps of yarn. They work great. Okay, so we have one petal, and I would say that this project uses beginner stitches, but it's not completely beginner. You really should be familiar with your stitches. So I would say more advanced beginner to intermediate, how I would label this. All right, so let's continue with round 3. So now we're going to work on the back side of our project in those unused loops. Because remember, we worked in the front loop. So in that first unused loop, I'm just jumping right in. Now if you wanted to change colors already, actually I will show you. I'm not going to change colors yet, but I am going to soon. We are going to jump right in and work 2 single crochet for round 3. And we're going to continue to work 2 single crochet in those unused loops all the way around, and we will have 10 single crochet. So it can be tricky to find the unused loops for these first couple rounds. They do get more visible. It's just, so sometimes I'm like, just, you know, wherever you can grab a loop, like right there. We want to have 10 stitches, so however you get there, it's okay. So 9 and 10. As you can see, I'm just kind of moving that petal out of the way. So we can see where we need to start because this was our last stitch. So the very next single crochet there is where we're going to jump in for round 4. So if you want, you can place your stitch marker. Actually, you might want to use 2. I'm going to leave it for now because I'm okay with it, but we're going to work right here. We're going to jump in, working in that front loop only, and we're going to work. So I'm working a single crochet in that front loop for that first stitch. So now what I'll do is I'll take out that stitch marker. So this is the single crochet I just made. I'll pop the stitch marker in here. So consider stitch markers as your friends with some projects. It just helps you to know where you are in your work so you don't get lost. Helps you find your way. All right, so our next stitch is going to be half double crochet. And then our third stitch is going to be 2 double crochet. And now we are going to chain 2. We're going to slip stitch in that second chain from our hook, and we're creating, it's what's called a picot. And we're going to go right back in and work 2 double crochet, all in that same stitch. So you're going to have a total of 4 double crochet and then your little picot on top. So this project's going to incorporate different types of petals. just to kind of give it a little variation because, you know, flower petals, they don't always look completely uniform. Okay, so our next stitch, this is stitch 4. We're working half double crochet in that front loop. And then our last stitch for this first petal in the front loop is a single crochet. So we're working 2 petals for round 4 here. Okay, so we are going to work the second petal for round 4. We're going to work single crochet in that front loop. The next stitch is a half double crochet. And then again in the front loop. Your petals are always worked in the front loop. So our next one is going to be the 2 double crochet in that same stitch. Now we will chain 2 and work that picot, so that is working the slip stitch in the second chain from our hook. And we're going to work 2 double crochet again back in that stitch. And we are going to work half double crochet in the front loop. I'm not doing that. And as you can see, this yarn is a bit splitty. It doesn't have a super tight twist on it, so it can be a little challenging. But it's pretty. And then my last stitch is a single crochet in that front loop. And then I'm going to take out my stitch marker and put it in that stitch. And now I think I am going to change colors. So again, you can change colors wherever you want. You could have each round of petals be a different color. It's whatever you want to do. Okay, so to change colors, what I'm going to do is we are going to work again in those unused loops. So normally if I wasn't changing colors, I would just start single crocheting around in those unused loops, but I kind of want to, if I just cut this, it would kind of leave it like a gap there, and that just wouldn't look very nice. So to avoid that, I'm going to go in that first unused loop there. I'm going to grab my color, my second color. I'm going to find it. So I have my next color I want. So I'm going to basically work a slip stitch, and that is just so that this color is anchored and looks nice and neat and it's not flopping around. And now we are ready to go. I will be cutting that pink, the darker pink, in a minute. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to, for round 5, I'm going to chain 1 since I changed colors. If I did not change colors, I would not chain 1. I would just start working the single crochet. So I am going to single crochet in that stitch, and I'm going to work another one because we want to increase until we have 15 stitches. So you can kind of do your increases wherever you want as long as the end result are 15 single crochet. So I'll just stack them up in the beginning. So there's 1, 2, I'm going to increase again in that next unused loop. So 3, 4, 5, 6. Now if you wanted, you could do them at the end or in the middle. Actually, I have 6. Let's do some singles. So this is 7, 8, 'll do another increase, 9, 10. So now I need to see how many stitches do I have left, because I want to have 15. So I'm at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and there's that last one, 15. So I don't need to increase anymore. Alright, so I popped out my stitch marker, as you can see, and I'm going to put it back in that last stitch I just made. And now I'm going to cut the dark pink here. So if you are using different colors, you will have a bunch of ends. And what I should have done is we actually are going to be sewing this on to, let me find it, to our clip here. And I should have left a long tail in the beginning. So I do suggest leaving a long tail. You could glue it on, but I prefer sewing. I don't love sewing, but for these type of projects, I prefer sewing because then this thing's not going anywhere, especially if you were using it for a smaller child, you know, and they're tugging at it, and then, you know, you don't have to worry about it, you know, them choking on it, because if it's sewed securely. And I like these too because, as you can see, has that little hole there. So what I do is I actually will thread that through when I sew it, and literally it's not going anywhere. And there's another one in the back, so I really like these for that. You could also sew it and glue it as well for, you know, for a little extra security if you're concerned. But just having those holes there really helps it to not go anywhere. Okay, so let's keep going, and I will place a link for those. I'm sure you can find them at a local beauty supply where you do not have to be a hairstylist. Like, I can go to a professional beauty supply even though I don't work in the business anymore. But there are ones where just the general public can go and find that kind of stuff. Or Amazon, I'm sure. Alright, so now we are ready for round 6. And we are going to be working 5 petals. Our first stitch, we're going to be working in the front loop. So it's really easy to find it because we have the pink now, the light pink. So in the front loop, we're working single crochet. Our second stitch will be half double crochet. Our third stitch, we are going to work 2 double crochet. We're going to chain 2 and work 2 double crochet. So we're just changing up the petals for this round. As I said before, you know, real flowers, their petals are not all completely uniform. So, all right, so our next stitch, we're going to work half double crochet, stitch 4, and then stitch 5 is a single crochet. You can see that yarn splitting. Let's see if we can fix that. Okay, so there is the first petal for round 6. We're going to have 3. All right, so our next petal, we are working single crochet. We're going to repeat that, so it's going to be single crochet, half double crochet, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet. And this is all in the front loop. And then we're going to continue. The next stitch is half double crochet, again in that front loop, and then single crochet in the front loop. And then we have one more petal to go, so we're going to repeat those directions. Okay, so we have finished our third round of petals, and that's round 6 there. And I'm going to take out that stitch marker and place it in the very last stitch I made. Okay, so now we are ready to work on round 7. And round 7, will be the start of the repeat. And so currently we've only been increasing one petal each time we work the petals, but now we're going to be increasing each time we do the petals 2 petals. So we have 15 stitches when we work our single crochet in the unused loops. We want to increase until we have 25. So we're going to be increasing 10. So in that first unused loop, I'm just want to work a single crochet because I want to have 25 at the end. So again, you can pop in your increases, and the increases are just popping in 2 single crochet in 1 stitch. So I have 1, let me pop in 2 for the next. So here's 2, 3, and we'll just do 1, so 4. That's usually what I do. I'll just count in my head like 4, and then 5 and 6. I'm doing an increase there. 7, 8, and 9. So I'm at 23, 24, and then one more, that little unused loop, 25, and I do a quick count. Now you could just increase 10 right in the beginning if you wanted to. As I said before, it will just affect where your petals will be, which is fine because, as you know, real flowers, they are not completely uniform. Pop out that stitch marker. This is going to be my first stitch right here. I'll actually pull it out just a little bit so that you can see, and I'm going to pop in that stitch marker. Okay, so for round 8 here, normally we would start making the petals, but we are actually going to, I want the flower to spread out just a little bit. So what we're going to do for round 8 is we're going to single crochet in both loops all the way around. And I'll have 25 single crochet. Okay, so I worked for round 8, I worked my 25 single crochet, and I marked that last stitch. So now we are going to work petals for round 9. So we are going to do the petals that we did for the second group with the little picot. Now you can decide if you just prefer the rounded petals like the ones we did with the 3, but I'm going to alternate round and picot because I just think it looks neat, and again, real flowers, their petals are not exactly the same. Alright, so our first stitch is going to be single crochet in the front loop. Second stitch is half double crochet in the front loop, and third stitch will be 2 double crochet in that front loop, chain 2, we're going to work that picot, so slip stitch in the second chain from our hook, and 2 double crochet. Right back in that same stitch, and we're going to half double crochet in the next stitch in that front loop, and single crochet in the front loop. So we have completed our first petal. So you're going to continue, and you will have 5 petals for round 9 here. So I'm going to go do that, and I'm going to change back to my darker pink too at the end. Okay, so I finished up round 9. Now you could end it, you could have it just be 5 petals, but I want to have more. And if you do decide whatever your last round is, instead of working in the front loop, you'll work in both loops so that you'll have just a neater back. But as you can see, those front loops are showing up a lot more easily than they were in those beginning rounds. So as the farther you go, the wider it gets, it's easier to see those unused stitches. So as I said, I want to change back to the darker pink. So I worked that last single crochet. I'm going to go on the other side. I'm just going to slip stitch in an unused loop there just to anchor that light pink. And now I'm ready to go for round 10. So round 10 is a repeat of round 7. So you're going to increase 10 stitches. We have 25, we want to have 35. So wherever you want to do those increases, you know, just have fun with it and just pop in 2 stitches wherever you want until you have 35 stitches. So you always will increase by 10. Okay, I finished up round 10. I have my 35 stitches. I'm going to place that stitch marker in there. So we will be having 7 petals when we work the petals. So for round 11, we are just going to single crochet around in both loops. Okay, so for round 12, we are going to be working our petal round again. So I placed that stitch marker, we're working in the front loop. Now if you wanted to end on this round with 7 petals, then you would work in both loops. And we're going to make the rounded petals this time. So in that front loop, working single crochet, half double crochet in the next stitch in the front loop, and then working 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet right back in there, and now we're going to work half double crochet in that front loop and single crochet. And there is the rounded petal versus the petal with the picot there. So what you want to do is you want to repeat rounds 7 through 12, however long, big you want your flower fascinator, or if you wanted to attach this on a hat, on a piece of clothing, an ear warmer, you could do a lot of different things with this. And again, depending on what size yarn that you use, that will affect the size of your flower. Okay, so here is my flower. I finished with 9 petals. I thought that would be big enough. And as you can see, I worked in both loops in that last petal round that I did. Now, of course, if you wanted to have it be bigger, you could do that, or have it be smaller. So I'm going to join in with a slip stitch in that first stitch, and then I am going to cut a longer tail. Then what I'll do is I'll take my yarn needle, I'll thread it down, and then I'll have it be here so that I can sew it onto my clip there. So I'm giving myself a nice long tail there to do that. And as you can see, I just kind of played around with the colors there. And so obviously I'll need to weave in some ends. Okay, so here is my finished fascinator or hair clip, and I already attached the clip on the back so you can see where I sewed it. And then what I also did is I wove it back and forth with the prong there. And so I would weave it, and then I would weave it a little bit into the project, and then I would go back and forth on each side. So it is very secure, which is what you want. And it looks nice and neat, and it's all ready to go. And I'm going to gift this to my niece. She's having a birthday and loves pink. So I think this will be really sweet. And she's only 5, but she has hair of like an adult. I mean, I'm jealous. Her hair is absolutely beautiful. So I think she will like this an awful lot, and it'll look very cute on her. And I was having so much fun with this one. I made more. I didn't attach the clip yet, but here is one that I made using number 4 worsted weight yarn and an H hook. So I ended with 7 petals here, and this one I ended with 9. And then I made another one using very fine merino wool yarn, this pretty red. And this one I also ended with 7 petals, and I still need to attach the hair clip, but I have the string all ready to go for this guy. And then I made one more also using merino wool. This yarn I had used to make a shawl, and I just had a little bit left, and I really like this one. I think it's super pretty, and I ended up making 13 petals for this guy, so this one's pretty big, and I still need to attach a hair clip. I think I might attach a longer one. I think I do have a longer one. If not, I will eventually go to the beauty supply and pick some up, but I think this one turned out really pretty. And just you know, I only had a very little bit of this like lighter, like it's like a periwinkle color, and so just enough to, you know, stick in there. And you can have fun with different colors. This one I actually used 3 different colors. For this one I had a very little bit of this mint green, and then we have a multicolored, and then it's some white. So it's a good project to use up bits of yarn, and you can have fun with it. So I hope you enjoyed this project, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.